have today. Not because the information, the situation has, or the information in the letter has changed, but because the situation has changed. So, to move on to the Citizens Forum, the public comments, there was a couple of them last month that I just want to briefly address before we get to the new public comments. So,
Do you want to turn the recording button?
Oh, right, thank you.
I did. Yep, we're good.
thank you, Matthew. And thank you. So, in last meeting, most of the comments were on security last meeting, but there was one where Sarah here? Yeah, was it Marine or?
No,
Oh.
Marinas. So like Marine and then an S.
Okay, I got the Marine part of me.
Yeah.
Marinas, okay. I was going by memory, I didn't have it written down this time. So at our last meeting, Sarah offered an idea that each class would elect a representative that would gather questions and comments from parents and share with the administration in order to maximize the effectiveness and efficiency of administration by having addressed the overlapping gaps or concerns. So, as I said last month, Sarah, it is greatly appreciated that you not only came with a challenge, but you also came with a proposed solution, which doesn't happen as often as you'd like, so it's much appreciated. I did discuss it with the administration, and there was a concern that this approach could raise some other issues, such as maybe messages getting lost in translation, confidentiality issues, message filtering, where somebody's decided that the messages rise to the top and maybe go to the bottom. So there are family contact protocols, as I think you're aware, and the administration said that they would prefer that those are used and really wanted to encourage parents to use those protocols if there's suggestions, issues, or concerns. So they reiterated that they welcome those conversations and they'd rather have them directly and are willing to invest the time to do that. So I wanted to again thank you for your suggestion and let you know it's very much appreciated.
Can I respond? Or is that a no?
You can respond in the public comment. So Tracy raised a point too about grade point inflation, and then actually sent up a follow-up email with some questions and requests for the school. So I did talk with Tracy, and it was pretty, it would require a lengthy discussion. So I just let him know our plate was pretty full this month, and we would review this email closely and respond, in the near future on it. So I didn't get a chance to talk to the administration on that at all. So we will get to that, Tracy, just need a little extra time given the circumstances. So our public comments, we have a 3-minute time limit on our public comments. I will strictly enforce that and ask for your help in doing so. And the main reason we want to enforce it is not because we don't want to hear from you, but the issue is, somebody goes over, then the next person wants to go over, so just keep it tight in Georgia with monitor. It just works much better that way. If you have something to say that takes more than 3 minutes, please use the board email. We will respond to you, I promise. I'll generously interpret the policy on comments, that they should be related to agenda items, but only ask that you refrain from calling out students, teachers, administrators by name, or any reference that makes it obvious who you're talking about. If your comment requires a name to be mentioned, please use that board email to express your concerns, or feel free to talk to me after the meeting, just outside of the public forum. And I just ask this because individuals involved may not be present, because of public notice requirements, may not be able to respond or speak to defend themselves, and sometimes a concern is just based on a misunderstanding that unfairly reflects on the individuals involved. So in most cases, if you haven't been to these meetings, we don't generally comment immediately on public, respond immediately to public comments, but in subsequent meetings, we will try to do so. So with that, Georgia, who do we have first?
We have 4.
Okay, so Brett, I haven't met you, but Brett is from Turning Point, and he's our first public comment.
Well, thank you guys. My name is Brett Kalashevsky. I'm the National Enterprise Director for Turning Point Action. I have the privilege of working under Charlie Kirk and knowing him for 6 years. And so I just want to thank the board for giving me a couple minutes to speak with you tonight. I wanted to highlight a couple things. I think what a lot of people are finding out for the very first time this month is that Turning Point has 2 national headquarters. Phoenix, Arizona, where Charlie lived with his beautiful wife and children, and then Waukesha, Wisconsin. And so, although this is a national organization, we very much have local roots here in Waukesha County. And so I wanted to explain just a little bit more, shed some light on some of the misinformation and just confusing things that are going around about Turning Point. Turning Point USA is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that puts them in the education-based nonprofit category. Turning Point Action is a 501c4 organization. The legal definition of a 501c4 is that no more than 49% of the work can be political. The rest of the 51% is education-based nonprofit work. That 49% includes ballot chasing and holding elected officials accountable, including allegedly conservative Supreme Court justices. And so what I want to make clear about Turning Point is that TPUSA is not a political organization. It is not a religious organization. It is a nonprofit education-based organization that opens up dialogue in high school hallways and on college campuses nationwide. Charlie's famous quote is that when talking stops, civil war begins. And so Charlie Kirk's dream was to see a Turning Point USA chapter at every single high school and every single college campus nationwide. And so my ask, and really Charlie's ask, is that this board, in coordination with the administration and building off of the many conversations with Turning Point USA leadership, continues to make this happen, to see Charlie's dream through in a quick and swift manner. I think that's not too much to ask. So I'm happy to stick around afterwards for anyone here in the crowd that would like me to further shed light on Turning Point's mission, our ecosystem as a whole. I also have Jennifer Altman-Cloth. She's an alderwoman in the town of Oconomowoc. She's also our local field representative for Turning Point Action, and Mara Newell, the high school field program representative for TPUSA. We're happy to get you guys plugged into the Turning Point ecosystem. Thank you guys very much. Yeah, and I'll take questions from the board afterwards.
But to Randy's comments that you made earlier, there has been communication between our leader and leadership and your organization.
Yes. So those conversations are happening between the National Field Director for the High School Field Program, Club America, Nick Koka, and administration.
And all that.
Yes, and we're completely okay with the terms as they stand right now. So, thank you. Any other questions from the board? I'm happy to shed light on anything.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much.
All right, Andrea Hayes.
Hi, board, it's been a minute. Good evening, board, administration, parents, and community. My name is Andrea Hayes. My 2 children were enrolled at LCCA before the school even existed, and I have always believed in the need for strong alternatives to today's mostly bleak educational landscape. I was passionate about the initial vision communicated to families that included things like partnership between the school, parents, and students, classic academics rooted in truth, logic, and reason, and the hope of raising up a generation of free-thinking young people trained to lead through virtue and action. In light of recent events, I feel it is worth reminding others that in 2021, the school solicited parents to support a school-sanctioned civics club that we later called Liberty Leaders. The goal of this school-sanctioned club was, quote, to inspire patriotism, leadership, and service to make a difference in our community and build a better world, end quote. It was our mission, the parents that were asked to run it, to partner with the school and create opportunities for students to translate virtue that they were learning in the classroom into action in our community. Driven by a dedicated group of volunteer parents, it was highly regarded as a successful venture, garnering significant community support for the school and much needed community recognition in those early days. Despite the success, it became clear to us, those of us who were running the program, that what we were doing was not sustainable. We recommended a partnership with external civics-based program being considered for the future so that a scalable learning curriculum and a proven program framework could be leveraged across all grades for many years to come. But the program was ended abruptly and without any prior communication by administration in early 2022. The cancellation of Liberty Leaders is but one example of the many situations throughout the past 4 years that have ended without the so-called passion for civil debate that administration claims, nor even a basic respect or regard shown for the people who were involved. There used to be many student and or parent-led clubs at LCCA. To date, every one of those in-house clubs, regardless if they have been led by students or parents, has been systematically dismantled and shut down. And it seems to me that all subsequent replacement clubs have been paid administration-controlled replacements, and the recent in-house civics club as an alternative to Turning Point USA proposal sounds like a familiar tune. I come with a word of warning. We have tried this in-house before, and it was good, but it was not sustainable without the lessons and the structure of outside support and programs like Turning Point. Even though my children no longer attend this school and are better off for it, as a tax-paying citizen, I still believe that LCCA carries a distinct privilege, a privilege to be an incredible educational alternative for parents to come. However, it is of concern that the pattern of dismissive and or controlling behavior demonstrated by administration, not simply in a 5-day boiling pot online, but over the past 4 years, is on full repeat right now. I'm almost done. Katie and Melissa, I applaud your courage, commitment, and resolve. Any negative attention from this sequence of decisions should not land on your shoulders. I am proud of you. Parents and community, please do not be fooled. Do not be distracted or divided. This is not a one-time issue, but I submit a pattern of control at all costs. Board members, I'm asking you to face the actual issue at hand, to reestablish a balance of power and do whatever it takes to position LCCA to be successful. I'm grateful for your time and commitment to excellence and appreciate the need for a measured course of action moving forward.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, Tracy Zundel.
Hi, everyone. Raise your hand and I'll sit down whenever time's up. I am here, and I want to first say that I appreciate Randy's comments about my comments last time, and I recognize the time constraints. But I'm going to stand up again because I feel like this is important. I do not think that the media, especially the national media, is fair. I do not think that they have any equipoise. They are basically sharks, and I think we've been hurt by that. But predating this, we have some standing issues that I hope the board will continue to think about as this firestorm dies down. My daughter is in 9th grade at LCCA. She has 20 students in her class. Last year there were 41. She has an attrition of 50% over the course of a year. The remaining parents are talking about whether they will keep their kids here because they're concerned. Our wait list over the last few years has dropped from 300 to 25. The bigger threat is not the social media stuff, it's the community confidence in the institution, and it's dropping. I am an academic physician. I screen higher education applications for residency and medical school all the time. And I can tell you that some of the most important things are the extracurriculars, the leadership opportunities that the kids have, the things that you can put on a resume that demonstrate real life experience. LCCA is missing a lot of these. As Andrew mentioned, a lot of them used to exist, they've been shut down. The high school kids need those. It's critical that they have those because otherwise we're choosing between a classical education and college opportunities. The transcripts, we submitted a petition 2 years ago to have the transcripts modified to reflect the rigor of LCCA's coursework. Honors petitions, or to have honors designation for classes, to have access to AP exams. We do have access to AP exams. We're grateful for that. Thank the administration for taking that under consideration. The grading scale and the transcripts still disadvantage our kids in the college application process. So I'm hopeful that as we kind of hopefully all this stuff dies down, we can circle back down to some of these issues that have been long-standing and have really impacted our school over the long term. Thank you.
You have 30 seconds you can auction off here, Tracy.
I'm good, they're yours, man.
All right, Christoph.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Goff. My kids are in 2nd and 5th grade. I spoke about school security last month, and that's my topic again today. Seems almost anticlimactic now. Thank you, Matthew. And I'm glad you voted how you did. It wouldn't look bad since you called in armed security for this meeting to vote no for the kids. Thanks for being here. Okay, fellas. So I just want to reiterate the threats that our school is under, any school would be under, but particularly ours. Randy was very polite, but people who choose to believe that it can't happen here don't understand the nature of evil in the world or haven't seen violence firsthand. Sorry if you don't sleep all the night, it's reality and I can't change it. So I appreciate that the board has taken that seriously and will be moving forward with a plan to address that. And I'll also note that the fact that you had to use the overflow room kind of speaks to the attention that our school has right now, which is not necessarily always a good thing from a security standpoint. I'm the guy who parks. I'm the guy who parks by assembly every day or most days. So thanks to the administration for letting me do that. We do need more cars. You know, my truck is only so big. I get it, but I hope that it shows that you can take action. Like as the saying goes, you can just do things. So I appreciate that the board is doing that, moving forward with a security contractor and allocating the money after you get through these last couple technical hurdles. But I hope that, well, first I want to thank Matthew for the report. I do think there's probably some low-hanging fruit that the administration could consider that could be implemented, but what you're recommending is, in my opinion, the gold standard. It's a good guy that stops a bad guy, so thank you for that. And I hope that you will just move forward boldly. Like I said, you can just do things. So move forward with that plan and implement it, not hastily, but quickly. And also, the follow-up assessment that's part of that, you say you get an assessment when you get the contractor. It could be useful to the administration for some of that low-hanging fruit. They can see some of those odds and ends that could be tidied up. So please move forward boldly with that plan, but thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And that was, it wasn't just your suggestions, there was other sort of these potential low-hanging fruit suggestions, and then the thought was with the security assessment, we would evaluate those.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, that's our last public comment. Oh, sorry, Sarah, I forgot.
Oh, I'm gonna formulate my thoughts, and I don't wanna I feel like there's more important things tonight, so I'll catch it next time. I was just giving somebody else's.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, but I wanna organize my thoughts before I say something.
Okay, great. All right, next item, Margaret, principal report.
Thank you. Before I take questions on my leadership report for this month, I'll touch on my recent communications shared to the LCCA community about the development of a high school civics club. The public and media storm over these issues has unfortunately brought far more heat than light. It's important in this forum to correct the rampant spread of misinformation. Much of what I say will echo Randy's comments, but to give the fuller picture, LCCA is a Hillsdale College member school. We therefore default to Hillsdale's recommendations and guidance on most things. And Hillsdale recommends that public charter schools like ours have a policy of not permitting student clubs aligned with political or religious outside organizations. Let me clarify that political organization includes not just organizations committed to advocating for or against candidates for office, but also those involved in advocacy over issues, a pro-life group, for example. This recommended policy is different than policies at Hillsdale College itself or private Hillsdale K-12 aligned schools. And obviously this is different from most traditional public schools. And why is this the recommended approach? Because according to Hillsdale, as a public school, we generally cannot just pick and choose which organizations we want to follow or allow. If we open ourselves up to some, we are likely opening ourselves up to all kinds of external influences, and that comes with risk. In addition, as a mission-oriented school trying to do something different than traditional public schools, Hillsdale's guidance helps schools build culture from the inside out. So keeping clubs internally driven helps protect the mission and culture of the school. That is why Hillsdale recommends this policy to its member schools. So with the consultation and approval of the board at the time, that is the policy LCCA adopted years ago. This policy has been formalized in our handbook using Hillsdale model language, approved every year by the board, and consistently applied since that time. We've said no to other proposed student groups for the same reason. It should be obvious then that the denial of a proposed group has nothing to do with whether we like the group's goals or ideas. Hillsdale's recommended policy is neutral and non-discriminatory. To say it plainly, neither Dr. Wozniak, myself, nor any member of the board has anything against Turning Point USA. As our communications have explained all the way through the matter, much of what Turning Point does is consistent with our values and mission. That is why Dr. Wozniak discussed ways to facilitate the students' goals internally, consistent with our policy, and I reiterated that in writing. After we followed our policy, a social media storm began to brew. In response to this blowback, much of it based on misinformation, and given Hillsdale's recommended policy for schools like ours, Hillsdale connected me with Turning Point to begin conversations to explore a path forward. I'm thankful to hear the gentleman, Brett, say that he is grateful and supportive of the conclusion that we've drawn. Obviously, Turning Point and Hillsdale have a very close relationship and overlapping goals. Many know that Larry Arnn was close to Charlie Kirk and spoke at his funeral. In particular, these discussions focused on figuring out ways that Hillsdale's recommended policy can remain intact while facilitating the many positives a group like Turning Point can offer. I learned that Turning Point chapters can take different shapes and forms depending on the students and the school, and that Turning Point is eager to think through what it could look like in a school that is already so pro-America and civics focused in mission. So these were productive discussions. And that is where the idea of an internal school-initiated civics club with support from Turning Point was born. This aligns with our existing policy as recommended by Hillsdale and will allow for additional student engagement on issues both LCCA and Turning Point believe in. To reiterate, this new high school civics club was enthusiastically supported by Turning Point and Hillsdale. I too think this opportunity aligns with our goals, and I presented it to our West Campus students just this morning, letting them know that the groundwork is being laid and the details and logistics will be worked out expeditiously. Finally, I want to take a moment of personal privilege. As a leader, I'm used to people disagreeing with my decisions. When you run a school, or lead anything really, you cannot please everyone. And LCCA is not your ordinary public school where parents and students with all their varied interests and demands drive policy. We are a mission-driven school, following Hillsdale's lead and with their support. We may not be to everyone's liking because we're not trying to be like everyone. Doing things differently is hard. But I need to express my profound sadness at how some are using me and this issue to tear down the beautiful thing we are trying to build here. LCCA's name has been dragged through the mud. Many in the public now believe things about our school that are totally false, and it has surely done us great damage. In addition to misinformation about LCCA, there has been a public media campaign to attack me personally, lie about me, and destroy my reputation. This is beyond disappointing. Thankfully, I and LCCA have also received many supportive messages for which I am so grateful. But the damage has been done. My hope and my ask coming out of this mess is that the LCCA community will commit anew to living out our values together. We are trying to teach moral virtue and raise a generation that loves truth, not lies, that acts with courage, not cruelty, and that, like Charlie Kirk, can disagree without being disagreeable. If LCCA is going to thrive, we must do this together. Moving on to my leadership report. Board members, you did receive a copy of my report over the weekend, so I'm opening to your questions. Are there any questions?
I have one, Margaret, and thank you for your comments. The one question I had was, I know in our July report, we had our projection for enrollment was 607, and I asked again in July, mid-July at our meeting, we didn't have it on the report, but you said it hadn't changed much. And by the way, at the time, I was asking you to predict the future, so I'm not holding you to that, because we talked about that, and you said, I can't tell you what the intention of 607 people are. But my question on it is ultimately, like last year, between summer and enrollment, we lost 8%. And then the question was, when I asked you to get out your crystal ball, you said we felt that we had a better handle on who might stay just based on conversations and things, and then we ended up losing probably closer to 10% this time. So I was just curious, is that something when we are projecting in the future, we should just assume 8 to 10% drop in the summer, or was there something specific that happened this summer that maybe caused those numbers to drop more than you had initially expected?
Nothing specific. I can say that from January 24-25 to returning 25-26 was a decrease of about 15%. And so my numbers were based on that January intent to return, et cetera, information. Returning from 23-24 was a decrease of 18%. So we did not lose as many students as the previous year. And the year before that was a decrease of 14%. So that's really what our historical data is, that information. So I would say if we're going to project off of data, we're in the high teens of percentage decrease from projection to actual.
Okay, so that's been our most reliable indicator.
Right.
Okay.
I'm going to shock you with a marketing question. How's it going?
Marketing wise?
Yeah.
Well,
Just,
you did
I'm struck, especially this week, and I think you very eloquently talked about activity that's undermining the mission and undermining the school and hurting the school. And I just think there's so much wonderful stuff going on here. Every time I'm in these walls, I get a kind of first-person witness to how these children are being formed by you, your team, the mission. And there's so much that we can be saying, and I'm not suggesting it's not being said, but especially not living right around here. I know that you've renewed efforts over the past 12 to 18 months. What's your assessment of them, just broad stroke? And are you taking advantage of new opportunities? Just kind of what's the lay of the land?
Sure. The marketing report, just for your review, is in this quarterly
Right.
report is in this month's report, but over the last month, we held Constitution Days, we had a Sentinel Spirit Day, we kicked off our Celebrate a Senior program again, where the seniors this year all partnered individually or in partnerships with a single elementary class. The Griffin House Sentinel games took place on Friday. Winners were announced today at Assembly. We had Picture Day. We had, in partnership with the Legacy Committee, a phenomenal fun run that the students participated in different, both campuses in different ways. We had phenomenal attendance at parent-teacher conferences. So all things are going extremely well. Hopefully in the marketing report you also saw that our niche.com results are incredibly positive. We are the #1 charter school in niche.com of the schools that utilize their service. We are an A- grade school in niche.com, which is the highest I believe that they have actually allocated to any school at this point. So from a marketing perspective, we're very strong, very healthy. We're looking to offer some fall opportunities in that regard pertaining to this school year before we kick off endeavors to focus on enrollment and for next school year.
I think you're right. I saw the niche ranking too, and that's a big deal as it's third party and it's national, and it's not just looking at schools of our type. I mean, there's some high bars that the school has cleared there. I think that, not to prescribe, but I think that could be a campaign in and of itself. You certainly have a lot going on that could manifest on social, which is great. Thanks.
Oh, hi. I didn't see that.
Piggybacking off one of the comments earlier, and I know it's been a recurring theme, is retention at the high school level. I know there was an initiative with the house system last year, and that seemed to be positive. That was the last update that I had, but obviously we're in a new school year. Do you speak to how that's going, and do we see more opportunity, or what opportunities do we see to continue to improve retention in the high school?
The house system in particular is off to a great start. Like I said, we had a sorting day earlier on the school year. The Griffin House kickball tournament day was Friday. The kids all enjoyed and participate strongly in that. A couple of the new initiatives that we have already taken place was the middle school, high school, college information night that our part-time college counselor hosted. And we do have some items on the calendar forthcoming as the year unfolds that are geared toward connecting 8th grade students with current high school students in activities, having an additional high school information night for middle school families, and all of those things will kind of roll out as the year continues.
Lost. Okay, anything else for so our next item on the agenda is a one campus update, and again, I say this every time, but we have that on the agenda only because sometimes the community said we don't really know what's going on, so I just wanted to have it on the agenda each time, even if there was not really anything new to report. And John's leading the charge on that. So John, I don't know if you have anything to update on one campus.
Not really, but
Yeah. We'll translate.
If you can just cut a couple bullet points, it'd be great.
yeah. A couple bullet points.
Not specifically. I think I would only add the comment that by design, we've shifted the focus of what one campus is to developing a tangible strategy and vision. And I think that's relevant to all that happened in the last 5 days. I think it's very relevant to a lot of the topics of discussion, honors classes, academic achievement, all these things that are, I think, undoubtedly going to take a lot of time. And I just wanted to say, I know we're gonna lead into the last section of our board development, and I just like to emphasize to get together a plan with timetable
John. If you couldn't hear it, listen to the recording, it's good stuff. And we will talk more about it on the strategic plan as well. So just as a quick reminder, we have our to-do list, which are just things that from last month to this month we wanted to take care of and make sure that didn't slip through the cracks. Then our strategic plan is our longer-term plan. So the two are sometimes connected, but I want to start with the to-do list. I won't project it here. It is in the attachments on the agenda, and there's just a few items. I'll go over those. So, the oh yeah.
Now, are you going to cover the budget now or later?
Oh, did I miss the budget? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that now since we didn't start on the to-dos. Thank you, Matthew. Okay, sorry, I skipped
It's
that.
right, it's at the bottom.
I skipped item 9, which was the approval of the budget. So, any questions for Margaret on the budget? This was the third version. She did update the explanations for each, and there was just a few minor tweaks. So, I don't know, Margaret, maybe if you just wanted to quick summarize the tweaks that you made, just so everybody knows what changed.
On the whole, there's two major things to pay attention to. I did adjust the student enrollment number as well as the per pupil. We updated to the full amount of the per pupil aid that has been allocated to us for this school year, and also made the adjustment with great gratitude toward the Waukesha County executive who dropped their authorizer fee from 1% of our per pupil revenue down to 0.5% of our per pupil revenue. So those are the major adjustments that you see present in this final version for your approval. The smaller adjustments were we clearly more defined some of our advertising expected expenditures, some of our athletics expected expenditures, and updated the medical benefits section or portion to more accurately reflect the plans and the dollars that need to be allocated to the specific elections of our employees. So that should touch on and cover most of the adjustments that you see.
Okay. And then the original projection was 573 enrollment, and then 550 on the adjusted, just to give you some perspective. Okay, any questions for Margaret?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. It's a thank you. I know we've talked in the past about, and I'm looking specifically right now at one of the lease schedule attachment. You've been asked in the past, and I'm seeing now it's sprinkled throughout your report to do year-over-year comparisons. Super helpful, so thank you for that.
By the way, this isn't budget, but did Lori's replacement?
Yes, she's actually here, if you'd like. Yes, so I'm pleased to introduce our new Director of Financial Operations, Mrs. Mary Blazer.
All right.
I bet you are really.
She's 1 week on the job. So she's getting up to speed as quickly as possible, but we're very, very, very grateful to have her.
Awesome, good, welcome. Great. So would anyone like, any other questions I should, if I give them time? Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to approve?
John has a question.
Oh, John.
Sorry, and maybe this was in the past stuff and I just haven't reconciled it in the numbers. But how does this work? 24, 25, you have, 947,000 gifted fundraising. 25, 26 final budget, we're having 364.7. And I think usually those things are, it's projection time.
I think, John, what you should look at is the medical, the benefits, salaries. Are you looking at the most up-to-date version? Does it have an October date on the?
I'm just looking at whatever got posted to the
When you sent
final
me.
document that got posted.
Okay,
Do you want me to pull it up?
let me just.
So while she's looking at that, John, there were a couple things, the per capita reimbursement went up substantially. And then, as she said, our fee for the county went down, that came down too, so that was part of the explanation.
But see, to the
That we owe, that we paid the county was reduced from 1% to 0.5.
Line 1, John, is quite a bit lower as well. There, if you look at line 1, John, between 2024 and 2025.
sorry, Scott, I can't hear you.
Line 1 from 2024 to 2025.
Yeah.
That's the big difference in the budget.
That's the big difference.
I think that one netted out though. There was an expense and a revenue item that netted out on those.
The assumptions also shows that the different expectations for fundraising this year. And I think the discrepancy or the change, I will need to get more detail from working with Mary to answer that for you. But this is our current projection for the fundraising.
But I guess
I think
to
you're
not,
right, Scott. I think
to not
line
delay
1.
things, the projection is 377 in the black.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think that it's going to be the William S. Knight gift that we received last year that put that line item so high. And because we are not expecting a secondary gift from that foundation as of right now, so that was a $500,000 gift that we had budgeted for, expecting to receive that. And so that, don't see it in my assumptions notes, but off the top of my head, I do believe that that's probably the account there.
I think John's question, and John, tell me if I'm wrong, is that we lost the 500,000, but our surplus is still the same, so where did we make up for the difference? I think, is that your question, John?
The question, and then if the details uncertain, then it's
In every line item where we carefully planned and made sure that I hit the goal of the percentage range of surplus that you expected me.
I think it would require some reconciliation. Maybe you could just like hit on the highlight, you don't have to reconcile every penny, but some of the bigger numbers that
Sure.
influenced it, would that help, John?
I just didn't want to speak with certainty without confirming.
Anything else then? Okay, would anybody like to make a motion to approve the final 2025-26 school budget?
So
as
moved.
proposed? Okay, second? Anybody second?
Second.
Okay. I should have done that before we debated, so I'm assuming there's no additional debate. Okay, so the question is whether to approve the final budget for 25-26. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. All right, ayes have it, motion is carried. All right, now we will get to the to-do list I started talking about before. First item on there was prepare a school security summary for the board. Matthew completed, thank you. Skylar, Waukesha School property viability, there was an idea was brought up, is this Waukesha School was looking at reducing and potentially there was an available property, and you didn't get a chance to look at it, but you were gonna this month, and I know you told me about it, but I just wanna let you tell the group what you found.
Yeah, so right now, no decision's been made on which schools in Waukesha School District are gonna be closing for 2020, school year 2026-27. It sounds like there'll be decisions made by the end of the year. So it's imminent, it sounds like, but I think they're still undertaking the decision.
End of the calendar year, not school year.
End of the calendar year, I think a decision will be made of which schools will close for the 26th year. Sounds like there's a couple different options. There's a couple different options on the table based on what I've reviewed.
Okay. So John, maybe we just want to keep that on our radar here to check back at the end of the year. Ensure Matthew has the board binder and needed materials as a new board member, not quite as new anymore.
Yeah, we took care of that before the meeting.
Did you? Okay, awesome.
You read it already.
Go get her.
So the present new board requested enrollment format with historical data. I know you kind of started down that direction, but there's a lot going on here, so we'll keep that one on there for next month, and we can deal with that. That one was important but not urgent. So another one I put on there that I was going to do, but I didn't get a chance to with the kind of the last minute things that came up here, was our board calendar. We reviewed that and approved that last year. There's a few items I think we need to update. We should review it as a group. So what I will do is I will at least initially update it and send it out to the group for review, and then we can make sure that's refreshed and has the accurate information, and then make sure we don't forget anything, and also lets Margaret know what to prepare for each monthly meeting.
I can share, I've tweaked a couple things just with the change in like Act 20 and a couple of the standardized testing parameters.
Okay.
So I have sort of a running draft of things that you would want to adjust.
Okay.
I'm happy to share that with you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. That would be great. And then the last thing we had on here, and I just left it on because we didn't get to ask you, Margaret, but consider opportunities for board help to alleviate some administrative duties while allowing time to be more present with faculty, students, and parents. I know that you've done that on multiple occasions, and since you weren't there last time, I just wanted to keep it on there and mention it again, just so you're thinking about ways that we can help.
Thank you.
All right, strategic plan. So our first item was establish a clear draft of a vision statement. So this is our 90-day horizon. This is when we were supposed to have those first step items done on our plan. So establish the draft of a clear vision statement. I know, Margaret, I talked to you about it, and I think you have a meeting to discuss it with some colleagues coming up here on the 21st, I think, if I remember correctly.
It is sometime soon. Yes.
Okay. So I would just ask if when you have that kind of meeting, if you could share whatever you have with John, if he's not at the meeting, share that information with him, because that's holding him up on his part.
Yep, absolutely.
So, the Director of Advancement, that was what I know you were looking for. We had that, hopefully was a 90-day goal. I know you got, I think, to the 10-yard line at least.
I did get to the point of making an offer to a viable candidate, but it was declined. So I'm starting over.
Okay.
Still have more interviews in process, so there are other candidates now that I'm pursuing.
Okay, great. The 90-day goal review and reset meeting. So this is a follow-up to our strategic planning we did in July of this year. We started, started June or May or a while ago. But we had a review that we were supposed to set up with the consulting firm, and they were just going to make sure we were on track, see if we had any questions. I know Ellen tried very hard to, that was her goal, she tried very hard to set up that meeting, and it was extremely difficult to coordinate. We talked to Partner to Learn, and we thought maybe an easier solution would be to have a couple board representatives just meet with them along with the administration, Margaret, you, and whoever else is available.
Okay.
And then we could just kind of discuss where things are at rather than trying to collect everybody together and have a big public meeting. So we thought that would be a more efficient way.
Okay.
So she gave us some dates.
Already?
I have to get new dates.
Okay.
Yeah, no dates yet.
Got it.
She did give us a list of dates available that we could work from in one of her emails. So
Okay.
I can get that to you too.
Yeah, okay. Begin the process to review and revise our policy board manual. I know you
Dave Matthew, Board Manager.
Yes.
So have you had a chance to get through that? I know it's a pretty big project.
Yes, no, I shamefully have not gotten through it. It has begun,
Okay.
but it's a lot and
Yeah.
it is not complete, so I fail.
Okay, well, we'll push that. We'll give you an extra 30 days on that one. So, and then, John had the capital campaign finalize the case and pitch statement to be used with donors. That's kind of what John was talking about. We need to get going on this stuff because we want to find a building in a new location, get to one campus, but we have to raise the money too. So this is really urgent. So once Margaret gets the vision statement down, that should allow John to kind of allow that to work into the pitch and the case statement, and then we can really get this process going. So even though we didn't get this, I know John's already done some work and put a lot of thought into it, so I'm hoping it can accelerate once he has that vision statement. And then finally, there's two other things. One was the draft and approved policies on the Carver model process. I did start that. I have a substantial portion of it together. We wanted to approve it all at one time, but that one I will also need to defer a little bit to get that together completely and comprehensively before we can approve it. But like yours, Georgia, we have substantially moved forward with that. And then the last item was to review our strategic human resources plan, and that involved, things like, finding new board members, bringing in, key staff member hiring process, so like key staff being a head principal, assistant principal, controller. And then the third part of that was succession plan. What if one of our leaders, can't come into work for an extended period of time? What would we do? What's our backup plan? Are we ready to seamlessly move forward? So those policies were designed to address those items. Tried to keep them short and sweet. I know I've given it to y'all a couple weeks in advance to review. The board members, Margaret had it for a few days. But one adjustment I would like to make on it was the first one were key staff member hiring process. What it was, the policy there was prior to hiring key staff members, she will be interviewed by at least 2 board members and at least 2 teachers. Ultimately, the decision rests with the head principal. The goal is to offer input and added perspective prior to final hiring decisions for key staff members, not to interfere with or override hiring decisions of the head principal. So we're holding our head principal accountable. We can't tell them what to do and hold them accountable, at least not being fair. So the one thing I just wanted to add, or modify to that, I just wanted to put that on there as a suggestion rather than a implied requirement. And the reason I did that, because if the head principal doesn't care about what anybody else thinks, doesn't want that input, I don't want to have to waste the time having a formality of teachers or board members interviewing, a staff member if a decision's been made. So I would hope that our school leader, whether it be Margaret or anyone else in the future, would take us up on that and, just for additional input. But so I just wanted to make that one revision to the policy, is just call it a recommended policy to clarify the intention there. And then I think everything else was out there. Did everybody had a chance to review that, or is there any questions on it? Anybody like to make a motion?
Wait, before you do, I have a question.
Wait.
So,
Anybody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. I was supposed to do
What-
that first.
why was there a decision made to not make this a requirement for hiring key leadership?
The whole intention of it was to, just to give additional input to the school leader when making their decision on it. So, Hillsdale, had also reviewed the policy, and they were very sensitive to, making sure we weren't interfering with hiring decisions. And I had already
Gotcha.
clarified that wasn't the intention, but I just wanted to make it extra clear
Gotcha.
for Hillsdale that wasn't the intention at all. It was to help, not to interfere.
Thank you.
Brandon? I guess
ultimately, the way the Carver model is set up, which we're trying to adopt, is that we have a head school leader, and then that school leader, we give them guidance, strategic goals, and then we measure their performance. We figure out how to measure it, and that was part of pulling that whole process together, determine what measures success. And then the idea is that we are holding them accountable for meeting those measures of success. And if we are interfering in the operational decisions, we can't justifiably hold them accountable for the results if they weren't the ones that necessarily made the decisions that produced the results. So that is the theoretical backing for that. Does that make sense?
Okay, so functionally, the idea is that we can vote on this, and that this puts this part in place, and then ultimately we will have our list, the litany, whatever it ends up it might be, of ends policies, which we will hold the leader accountable.
We will.
That then kind of ties it all together.
We will have the end policies, and then we will have metrics. We do have KPIs now. We will have the metrics by which we measure the school. Go ahead.
And John, just a little historical perspective, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we had a robust discussion on what's the role of the board, is it operations or governance? We landed on governance. It's an important lane, and then the head principal and administration handles operations. So a part of this is just staying true to that decision. That's how I'm reading it.
That's right. Any other thoughts or question on the strategic human resources policy? Okay, so the question is whether to approve the strategic human resources policy with the one adjustment that the policy for key staff hiring member process includes the word recommended policy. So with that, all
Is administration on board?
I don't see this as my lane. I haven't Randy I had this for a few days, but I haven't actually
Got it.
had opportunity to, so I will.
Okay. Well,
It directly impacts operational as well.
yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I thought you had a chance maybe to.
I apologize. A couple other things going on in the last few days.
I defer. I think it's important.
There's one other section in the last section that I think you should at least be aware of. I know it's a board policy, but I want you to be aware of and get any input. So let's defer the vote on this. It's not urgent. Let's just defer the vote when you have some time to look at it and think about it.
Thank you.
Okay, that is our last item. So would someone like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved. Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries, meeting adjourned at 7:49 PM.